Welcome everyone to the Historic Preservation Commission's regular meeting for January 25th, 2023. We're going to call the meeting to order and take roll call. Jim?
Chris?
Here.
Lester?
Here.
Mike? Not here. Rich?
I'm here.
Very good. Via Zoom. Millie?
Okay, and first item on the agenda is to review and approve the minutes of our last meeting. October 26th. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes of that meeting?
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Do we have a second? Second. Roll call, Jim?
Chris?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Jim is yes. Millie?
Okay, our next item is board vacancies and commission reappointments. You should have a handout on that, I believe.
Yeah, it should be included in the packet.
Okay.
We did receive a letter of resignation from Cindy Nordell, and that vacancy has been posted and published. The deadline for receiving letters of interest for filling that vacancy is February 3rd.
So if anyone is watching and has an interest, be sure to contact Lisa over at the museum, or if anybody on the commission has some people that you feel might be interested in that position, it'd be helpful to encourage them to help us out a little.
Mr. Chairman, I spoke with Eric Thompson, the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club, and he's expressed an interest. So Lisa, I encouraged him to apply online. So you might look for his application.
Will do.
Okay, so first we'll need to make a motion to accept the resignation of Cindy Nordell. Do I have a motion?
So moved. So moved.
Second? Roll call, Jim?
Chris?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Jim is yes. Millie?
That has passed, and now we will entertain a motion to reappoint myself and Mike Madone to the commission. And I'll need a motion.
So moved.
I think it's Rich, Mike, and Jim.
So do we have a second? Second. Okay, roll call.
Chris?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Jim is yes. Millie?
Motion passes, and now we'll entertain a motion to accept the reappointment of Jim Nelson.
So moved.
Roll call, Jim.
Chris?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Rich?
Yes.
Jim is yes. Millie?
Okay, now we need to appoint or elect our commission officers, and I'll entertain a motion to appoint I have not spoken with Mike, but I'm going to guess he's open to continue in that role, or no? I guess not. That's, I don't know if you could see her shaking her head no, so. Then we need a motion to appoint the chair for the Historic Preservation Commission. And I'll open the floor to nominations.
Nominations or a motion?
A motion, I'm sorry. Well, it's, I guess, both, but a motion,
You
we
want
need a nomination. and-
formally nominate first?
Yes.
I would nominate Mike Madone to chair.
I think he indicated he didn't want to continue.
He does
in that
not want to
role.
continue to chair?
Yeah.
Tough. He's been nominated. Well, Chris, would you accept a nomination for chair?
I think I would accept that, yes.
Is there a second to the nomination?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Roll call, Jim?
Chris,
Abstain?
Lester,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes.
Jim is yes. Billy,
Congratulations, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I don't know how I got roped into that one.
You got the cheat sheet.
I do. If I didn't have that, I probably would have failed already. So now we need a motion for vice chair for the Historic Preservation Commission. Do we have a motion?
I'll nominate Lester if he'll accept it.
I'll accept.
I'll second that motion. Roll call?
Chris,
Yes.
Lester,
Abstain?
Rich,
Yes.
Billy,
Yes.
And yourself?
Jim is yes.
Okay. And now we need to entertain a motion to appoint a secretary for the Historic Preservation Commission.
I would nominate Millie if she would accept.
Oh, sure, all right.
I'll second that. Roll call, Jim?
Chris,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes.
Jim is yes. Billy,
Yes,
Congratulations.
Thank you, Millie. Okay, now we are moving on to the first item on our agenda, the public hearing on the Bon Air Cottage, I believe. Is that correct, Lisa?
Yes.
And we will open the meeting for a public hearing. And Lisa, will you bring us up to date on what we have in front of us?
So this is a public hearing for nominating, for consideration of a motion to adopt a resolution to initiate the process for designation of the structure located at 412 North 15th Street as a local historic structure pursuant to the city's municipal code, section 123090. Oops. The name of the structure is the Bon Air Cottage, also known as the Campbell Cottage. It is located at 412 North 15th Street in the Canyon Gardens subdivision of Canyon City. The current owners are Matt Landis and Heidi Ritter. They have been duly noticed as a letter to the owner for the property at least 15 days prior to this public hearing, and signs were posted on the property at least 15 days prior to this hearing. The original construction of the house was 1897. The original owner was Mr. Gilbert Campbell, and the architect is Daniel A. Bradbury. And the structure has not been moved from its original location. The Campbell Cottage, or Bon Air Cottage, is a 1.5-story brick house with a stone foundation. The house has elements of both Queen Anne and Prairie architectural styles that reflect a unique hybrid design in Canyon City. As the application states, the 2 circular pepperbox turrets in the front give the cottage an almost castle-like appearance or facade. The cottage still remains the original brackets under the eaves, detailed brickwork over the windows, and the original ornamental ironwork on the spires of the turrets and along the apex of the roof. The structure has undergone a couple alterations. Sometime after 1914, the front porch was altered and 2 of the original chimneys were reduced in height. According to the application form, the property is showing its age. There is settling around the turrets and along the south side of the house. On the interior, several large cracks have appeared on the walls due to stress, and the chimney in the living room of the house is settling with a significant gap appearing between the tile of the fireplace and the hardwood. As for significance of the property, as indicated in an article in the Canyon City Clipper on August 13th, 1897, Daniel A. Bradbury was contracted to design 2 almost identical in general construction cottages on North 15th Street. A third cottage of very similar style and construction was built roughly the same year for Dr. Thomas Craven at 1902 East Main Street in Canyon City. There are only 3 cottages in the community that were built with these similar style of elements of both Queen Anne and Prairie architectural styles with the 2 twin turrets in the front. Daniel Bradbury was a very prolific architect in Canyon City, has designed several very notable buildings within the community, and a few of which are either listed individually on the National Registry of Historic Landmarks or are a contributing building to the downtown historic district. The buildings he had constructed or designed include the Fine Arts Building, or the East Building at Mount St. Scholastica Academy. That was built in 1895. The Maupin Building was built in 1899, and the Handy McGee and Sulford Block on Main Street in 1891, and the First Baptist Church in 1892, all within the downtown historic district, with the exception of the Fine Arts Building. He also built a few distinguished houses in town as well, including the Gibson Mansion, the Baker House, which has been completely remodeled, and the A.C. Brown House, which was destroyed by fire. So far, none of the houses Daniel Bradbury designed in this community are listed on either the local, state, or national historic registries. The cottage at 412 North 15th Street has also been owned or occupied by many well-known citizens of Canyon City. Gilbert Campbell, the original owner of the cottage, was a prominent businessman who owned and operated Campbell Lumber Company on Main Street. Subsequent owners included George C. and Albert Whitmore, owners of the Whitmore Furniture Company, Guy Hardy, editor of the Canyon City Daily Record for a number of years, Reverends F.G. Arnold of the First Baptist Church, and Roy P. Morris, Reverend of the United Presbyterian Church, and more recently, William Bill Jackson, former mayor of Canyon City. Under these findings of facts, this structure meets the criteria for designation as listed in the city's ordinance. Number 1, the original building and construction of the property took place in 1897, making it significantly more than 50 years old. The building has a few historical alterations to the front porch and to the chimney, which were likely done over 50 years ago. The property was designed by a prominent, number two, the property was designed by prominent local architect Daniel A. Bradbury, who designed many other significant structures within the community. The property has also been owned or occupied by many notable people within Canyon City, including Gilbert Campbell, Guy Hardy, and the Reverends Arnold and Morris, and more recently, William Jackson. The house is and number four, the house is one of only 3 houses that exemplify this particular style and mix of elements that reflect a hybrid of both Queen Anne and Prairie styles within Canyon City. As this is a public hearing, staff recommends the Historic Preservation Commission cites these findings of fact as stated in the staff report, the application form, and the city's ordinance explaining the Commission's jurisdiction to hold a public hearing on this report. And staff recommends the Historic Preservation Commission to vote to support the resolution recommending City Council's approval for the Bon Air Cottage located at 412 North 15th Street to be designated as a local historic structure. That concludes my staff report. I'm more than happy to answer any questions at this time, and the owners are also here as well.
Welcome. Do you have anything that you would like to add or let us know a little bit about the property and what your plans are?
Well, thank you for inviting us up to the podium. I'm Heidi, and this is my husband, Matt. I think it's on. We moved to Canyon City in 2020 and fell in love with this house. And this is not our first old home that we've worked to renovate, but it is going to be our hardest effort. So we really look forward to preserving this home for many generations of future Canyon City residents to enjoy, because we find it to be very special.
Are you currently living in the home?
We are.
And so the renovations will take place while you're living there.
Oh, yes.
That sometimes helps you move a little faster.
Always.
Do we have any other comments or questions concerning this project? Would you like to add anything additional?
No, I think that's great.
Well, at least as the new chairman of the commission, I want to just thank you for taking the time and the effort to save this beautiful old home. It's not an easy project. You know, I build new homes and I know how hard they are, but I've worked on old ones and they're even tougher. So we wish you luck and thank you for coming in and asking us to give our stamp of approval. If there are no other comments or questions, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that the Historic Preservation Commission adopt the staff report dated January 25th, 2023 as findings of facts to the Commission and to initiate historic designation in the form of Resolution 1 of 2023 attached to the staff report for the structure located at 412 North 15th Street in Canyon City, finding that it meets the criteria for initiation of designation per section 12.30.090 criteria for designation.
Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Roll call?
Chris,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes.
Jim is yes, Billy?
Yes.
And the motion carries. Congratulations, thanks again. Now we will look at agenda item number 7, subcommittee updates. We just had another meeting, but at least is there some additional information we need to get on the record?
The historical context subcommittee has taken a little bit of a hiatus with the new year, getting back on board with that. We've had some major activity at the museum lately, so getting back to that is our goal for developing that map that we've been working on a little further into the future, for sure. That's all that I have to report on that committee. Since we met for the public outreach committee just prior to this, looks like we have a number of different opportunities coming up for public engagement, including the one tomorrow at the museum for the community coffee and conversation about hotels and motels at 9 a.m. And then, of course, Senior Mini College, which will be in March.
And what does that entail, just for our
We'll be
viewing
doing
audience?
a presentation, more of a class regarding how people can do research on their historic property, what resources are available, different styles of architecture, as well as how they can nominate and go about fulfilling an application for the different designations within the community. The one here within the city of Canyon City and the commission, and then the one at the county level too.
And that will be what day again?
That will be March 21st.
And at the
At the-
Pueblo?
Yep, PCC, Pueblo Community College campus.
And that goes on all day?
The class will probably be, I think it might be in the afternoon, I'm not quite sure. I'll let you know and the public know too. They'll have to register for the Senior Mini College to attend that class. We can offer it again in a more public, the program, the presentation to the general public at the museum at a later date.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
may I add something to this agenda item, please?
Yes.
So this afternoon, I was in or participated in another meeting of the Downtown Partnership. It's a new partnership that's being put together that focuses on downtown, and one of the participants that's in the mix of this downtown partnership is the Historic Preservation Commission itself as a contributing member, either as a board member or as a subcommittee member to an executive committee. The structure's not quite figured out yet. But since Mr. Harmon's in attendance this evening, I thought maybe he could give us a quick rundown of what that looked like. He was our moderator today for this piece, but it's going to be an excellent opportunity for this commission to be involved in the future of downtown.
Great.
So if you could help us out.
Sure, yeah. It was, well, as any meeting that you host, I hope it was a good meeting. I guess we'll find out. One of the challenges that we've had in this community, and this came to me really from merchants downtown, organizations in general, that there's very little communication between the organizations. There needs to be some more coordination between them. The city a couple of years ago hired a Main Street program manager that would manage this whole process and also something called the Colorado Main Street Program. The city is an affiliate member of the Colorado Main Street Program. We lost our Main Street Program manager a couple of years ago. He left us. And the chore of finding a replacement has turned into a rather significant challenge, because we're looking for a unicorn that's able to fill many different hats. And as we evaluate our downtown and participation in the Main Street program and participation with Downtown Colorado Incorporated, which is closely affiliated with the Main Street program, it became very apparent that instead of maybe hiring a person who is a unicorn, a jack of all trades, we have a brain trust downtown, and we have skill sets downtown, and we have organizations downtown who are already somewhat going in the same direction. It's just more a matter of how we can bring them all together and create an organization that can work together, or can and will work together. So the thinking is that we put together a partnership, a downtown partnership. The exact formation is yet to be figured out. That's kind of what this meeting was today. But when you look at the organizations involved, or in organizations in the community who could be involved, I posed a challenge, I guess you could say, to the leaders of some of these organizations. And Mike Madone was one of them that was asked to fill out a survey. And the survey was really geared toward the organizations, historic preservation being one of them. How do you as an organization feel like you should be or could be involved with the downtown partnership? And how does vibrancy in downtown benefit your organization? Your organization is a commission. It's not necessarily a downtown nonprofit organization. But when you consider some of the benefits like the downtown design, one of the 4 pillars of the Main Street program is design. When you consider design and the vibrancy of downtown and the level of interest that's coming to our downtown because of our beautiful historic downtown, it makes perfect sense that historic preservation should be part of that. The survey was filled out. The questions were, for all of these different categories, yes, do you feel like you should be involved? Maybe you should be involved, or no, you don't feel like you should be involved. And generally speaking, in the governing section of it, historic preservation was answered as maybe. And this was a little bit of a surprise to me, but good to hear that other people in the meeting thought they should be. Historic preservation should be part of it. We've been in conversations with consultants lately who've made comments about our historic nature, the historic beauty of our downtown, and the historic built structures downtown. And they are seeing this as very rare to come across these types of buildings downtown still to this day. This is the 5th oldest community in Colorado, the 5th oldest city in Colorado, and we still have beautiful old historic buildings downtown that look really, really nice. When the consultants come here, they compare us to Boulder, they compare us to Denver, they compare us to just about anywhere. They don't see that anymore. So there's a very distinct benefit in our community. We're attracting people in our community partially because people are discovering our historic downtown. So glad Lester could join us. We're going to be putting together now. I was kind of hoping that the group would say, yeah, this should be the board, but I think I'm probably going to have to put together a suggested board, and it will likely be somebody from each of those organizations that I invited or that I included in the matrix that we filled out. And then we'll take it from there and determine how we go. The 4 pillars of the Main Street program, and correct me if I'm missing one because they're not at the top of my head. One is design, one is organization, one is promotion, and the other is economic vitality. They all come together in the form of the Main Street program. And whatever this structure is going to be of the partnership would be along with the city and the Main Street program manager. And technically, the Historic Preservation Commission is kind of part of the city, but they would all be managing this Main Street program together. So, and you had a presentation here last April from Larry Lucas, that's his last name, I forgot it before, who is also an architect with the Main Street program and a historian with the Main Street program, and very interested in helping our community advance by way of those 4 pillars. So a lot of good things can come out of this, and I was really happy to hear the response from people about historic preservation, because I think some of the conversation is that historic preservation can hinder development, and particularly in terms of fire safety and ADA compliance and modern facilities. It certainly can create some some considerable expense to renovate these buildings. But that partnership downtown should help us gain more access to resources to take care of a lot of these and modernize a lot of these structures. But, you know, we've created a commission at a very good time, because we are honestly, and I didn't expect this, we are honestly being recognized as having one of the most beautiful downtowns in our state. And it's one of the longest for sure, but the historic downtown is really being looked at very positively. Partially thanks to Danny Tezak and his project, the Hotel St. Cloud. Those are two catalyst projects that are really shedding some light on our community. But it's beautiful down there, and happy to have historic preservation as part of the focus for our partnership. So that's what it's all about on a very long story. But
It was a very good story.
well, thank you, appreciate that. But there was some pretty good consensus downtown that this is the good way to go. You know, there's been a lot of talk over the last few years about we need some coordination, we need to be able to communicate better, we need better communication with the city. We all want to know what's going on, and this is a good way to bring people to the table who know what's going on in organizations in the city and keep a lot of momentum going, but keep a lot of people informed.
Do you have a timeline for trying to have this committee established?
I would like to have another meeting in about a month. We have to make some decisions pretty quickly, because summertime becomes a bottleneck for primarily merchants downtown. They can't spend as much time on anything but their business. So I hopefully within the next month or two, we'll have a structure and a game plan. So thank you, Lester, for participating.
And I think, Mr. Chairman, if I can add my own 2 cents.
Yes, please do.
I think that from the conversations that I was a part of today, I think the expectation for this commission is to be prepared to appoint one of us to be either liaison to this executive commission or board, or even, we may even show up as a member of the board, depending on how this other organization puts together its organizational structure. So I would think that in the next few months, we'll probably have a question come before us, basically asking one of us to be a representative.
I think that we probably should designate someone as a liaison at this point, Lester, and it seems to me that you've shown that interest. Are you interested in acting in that capacity until a commission is formed or a partnership is formed, and are you willing to?
I'd be happy to
that
do
role?
that.
You know, and I'd like to add to that too. Rich will be involved from the chamber perspective as well. So if there's a time when Lester can't be there,
Okay.
he will also be able to handle the historic side of it.
Well, I think that's very significant, and I think that it plays a big role in what we do and what our purpose is and what our challenges are, and certainly we want to facilitate what we can and help people along, but I think you guys are heading in the right direction, and I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
Do
Thank
we
you,
have
Mr.
any
Chairman.
additional comments or general announcements, Lisa?
Yes, we do. Upcoming training opportunities for everyone. Of course, the Saving Places conference in Boulder is being held in Boulder this year, February. I did apply for a scholarship for that, for a couple people to attend. Unfortunately, we were only granted half of what we requested, so we're limited on what we can do. I know a lot of board or commission members are planning on attending via a webinar training on their own. You're more than welcome to do that. You're not required to do any formal note-taking or submitting any special reports regarding that if you do it on your own. The other opportunity that came up, I received an email regarding a webinar that will be through the National Alliance of Preservation Commissions, which will be on February 2nd 11 a.m. Mountain Time. If you're interested, I can email that out to you. The topic is going to be design review with limited resources, working without professional preservation staff. And that's, yeah, I think it's only about an hour-long webinar, and I believe it's free. And that's all I have for upcoming training opportunities. Obviously, there you can always go on the CLG portal too to see if there's any other upcoming ones via that, and there's also a lot of training available through recorded webinars that they've done through that portal. And the final thing I wanted to mention is we did get a request, actually it was an evaluation for CLG. They do that every 4 years, and we are going to be evaluated this year. I'll be working with Lindsay on what we need to prepare for that. She may be coming down to attend one of our commission meetings when she's available.
Okay. Do we have any other public comments or commission comments?
Did you have rescheduling November, December on here? No?
Nope, that's,
right, very good.
that was a mistake.
Oh, that was the revised one I got that I didn't print?
That was the revised one,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
I took that off and included that CLG evaluation information. And I can send out that, the forms that we need to complete for that evaluation.
I would just like to add that I am attending the Saving Places Conference in Boulder this year, and several of the topics that I intend to participate in talk a lot about finding funding for a lot of the projects that we show so much passion and interest in. So obviously they cost, and there are some challenges, but hopefully I can bring back some interesting information that might help with folks like the people who attended today. So hopefully I'll be able to pick up some information there and take in some of the historic portions of Boulder. I think a lot of theirs are focusing on what they've done in the past. Of course, it's a much bigger community with much bigger budgets, but certainly we can take some hints from other communities across the state as to how to continue our work in preserving our great history. Anything else anybody would like to add? With that, I will adjourn this meeting.